Okay, welcome to Miss Sussman's class. Make sure that you have pencil and paper before we begin. Our essential question is, how can you add fractions with like denominators using the properties of addition? Let's review those properties of addition real quick before we get started. The commutative property of addition states that when the order of two addends is changed, the sum stays the same. And what that means in simple terms is that 4 plus 5 will be the same as 5 plus 4. Both times you get 9 for an answer. Now this only works with addition. That's why they're called properties of addition. Okay? The associative property of addition states that when the grouping of addends is changed, the sum remains the same. Excuse me, and what that basically means is it doesn't matter where the parentheses are if you're adding. Now we know that in order of operations, when you're doing more than just adding, it does matter. But if you're just adding, you can put the parentheses wherever you want. Because 5 plus 8 is 13, plus 4 is 17, 8 plus 4 is 12, plus 5 is 17. You'll get the same answer, only when you're adding. That's why these are properties of addition. And so we're going to take these properties of addition and we're going to apply them to fractions. Okay, and I'll show you what that looks like in the next slide. Okay, here we have 1 1/3 plus 2 plus 3 2/3. Now, I like to think of this as working smarter, not harder. I'm looking at the 1/3 and the 2/3, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, if I add those together, that's going to give me a whole. So I'm going to put them together so that I can add them together. So I'm going to say 2 plus 1 1/3 plus 3 2/3. So I just moved it around, and I can do that using the associative property of addition. It's going to make my life a little bit easier, okay? So I know that this and this added together is going to give me one whole. So 1 whole plus 3 is 4, plus 1 is 5, plus 2 is 7. See how that made my life easier? I worked it out, didn't I? Pretty quickly. So that's what the associative property of addition lets you do when it comes to fractions. Only when you're adding. It does not work when you're subtracting. You can move things around to make your addition a little bit easier. Let's take a look at another example. Okay, here I have 3 4/9 plus 5 2/9 plus 5/9. But when I look at these, and this, by the way, is when you really want to kind of take your time and really look at a problem, because I'm looking at, if I look at 4/9 and 5/9, if I add those two together, it's going to give me one whole, isn't it? So I'm going to go ahead and rewrite my addition equation so that I can do that. And don't skip the step of rewriting the equation, okay? Don't skip this step right here. It's important. So 5/9 plus 4/9 is one whole, plus 3 is 4, plus 5 2/9 gives me 9 2/9. And it is in simplest form. I can use divisibility rules to let me know that. Okay. If this is not making sense to you, please go back and watch the next two examples. If it is, let's continue on to a new example. Okay, this is our last example before we do, I put up the homework problem. If this has been making a lot of sense to you so far, I want you to pause the video and work this out on your own and then check your answer with what I've been doing. If you're not super comfortable yet, make sure you've watched the examples a couple of times and then try it on your own before you check your answer with what I'm doing. Okay? Go ahead and pause it, work this one out, and then hit play to see if we did the same thing. Okay. You should have looked at this problem and saw that 3/4 plus 1/4 would equal 4/4. Now you notice you have two 1/4. Does it matter which one you use? No. I'm just going to do this one. So I'm going to rewrite my problem as 1 1/4 plus 2 3/4 plus 1 1/4. And then I'm going to do the addition. 3/4 plus 1/4, that's a whole. So now I have, I can add it to either whole number. I can make this a 3, or I could have made this a 2. I'm going to add them together. 3 plus 1 is 4, plus 1 1/4 equals 5 1/4. Excuse me, and my answer is in simplest form. So I'm in good shape. Okay, the next problem is going to be the homework problem that you need to do. Remember, if this is not making sense to you, make sure you watched it a couple of times. If you're not ready to try the homework problem yet, that is totally fine. Just write down any questions that you have about what's going on, because as you know, we'll always talk about it some more in class the next day. So don't freak out if it's not making sense, because we'll figure it out together. Okay? Here's your homework problem. Go ahead and work it out, and make sure you bring your notes to class on Wednesday, and we'll discuss it together. Remember, if you're not able to attempt this problem yet, if you're just feeling completely uncomfortable, do what you can, or write down specific questions that you have, okay? Good luck.